What did you think about, first of all, none of those guys being there? Ellerby, Al Heyman, uh, Calvin. What did you think about that and his demeanor? Because I was a little thrown off by Tank.
Um, he seemed kind of like what he said, man. He seemed like he's fed up with boxing. He seems like he
Yeah.
doesn't want to do it anymore. Um, and he's the kind of guy that gets agitated. He uses his nerves, his fears, his frustrations, and it makes him angry. It makes him a better fighter, which is what Mike Tyson had going for him early on.
Well, I mean,
Then there's a, but then
I
there's a point where you get older,
yeah.
right? And you stop being as angry when shit bothers you, and it starts actually bothering you.
Hmm.
So it's harder to use it, I feel like, as fuel for fighting
Yeah.
as you get older.
No, I definitely agree with you. I just felt like there was a lot transpiring because I feel like he was all over the place, right? He brought up retirement, which I spoke to a few people in boxing. They said once you start talking retirement, it kind of makes it harder to train. It makes you harder to prepare. It makes you, you know what I'm saying? It just does. You got to have a different mindset for boxing. Do you think Tank's mind is in boxing? Because he also did say he wants to go to a therapist. He doesn't want to feel like that. He doesn't want to feel like he has to kill the person. He doesn't want to deal with that for his kids. How do you feel about that? 'Cause I think that is major going into this fight.
I don't think it's because he doesn't want to feel like he has to kill a person. I think it's I've always said this: psychotherapy is kryptonite for boxers.
What do you mean?
What's kryptonite do to Superman?
It could kill him actually.
Makes him weak,
Yeah,
kill him.
yeah,
Psychotherapy does the same thing to boxers. It's kryptonite. It makes fighters weaker. And I'm not saying it's better in life. It'll make you stronger in life.
yeah,
But
absolutely.
for boxing, I don't care what anybody says. Now, look, there's always exceptions, right? There's always people who might be able to go through therapy and get stronger and still have that fire. But for the majority of people, I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Boxing comes from anger. Now, it's controlled anger. I'm not saying go out there and, because people have a problem with saying that they're mad or angry. That's right now. That's big in like the urban culture. I'm not mad. Oh, you mad? Oh, I'm not mad. Nah, I'm always calm.
Yeah,
But look at any fighter's face who's throwing a punch. Do they look like this when they're throwing a punch? No, they look like this. They're like, ugh. It's anger. It's controlled anger. Every fighter's face looks angry when they're throwing a fucking knockout punch. All of them. None of them look happy. So that's just going out to the people who might see this and say, no, 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 never be angry. No, I'm never angry. I'm always cool and calm. You're controlled anger. And that's a good thing. That doesn't mean you're weak. We pull from our upbringings. We pull from the things that make us angry, the frustrations we have currently going on, the shit from our childhood, all that. But it's subconscious. Once therapy starts making it conscious, now you're not getting rid of your anger and frustration or fucking knocking somebody out, getting that endorphin rush temporarily, then the next day you got to do it all over again. Now you're getting it out, you're getting to the root of it, and you're starting to kill it. And the fire starts dying. Human beings are not made to be in fight or flight all the time. It is not in our temperament to always, every day, want to be fighting. It's just not. So I think he's right. I think he should stay the fuck away from therapy until he wants to retire because I think it will affect his fire.
now a lot of people feel like, and I've talked to various athletes, whether it's the NFL, the NBA, and they start saying they were telling me once you start thinking retirement in your mind, it makes it that much harder to train 100%. He mentioned his daughters, and I forgot what box I was just watching, and he said he hasn't seen his kids in 3.5 months. He mentioned he had two daughters, and you have kids, I have kids. I don't know if you have a daughter, but I know
I
I
do.
do, right?
I do.
And I know my daughter has me wrapped around her pinky, literally. Anything she
Yeah, yeah,
wants.
yeah. Me too. Yeah.
The fact that he has double that, and he brought that up and said he doesn't want them to see that part of him, it kind of touched me. Like I was like, damn, bro, like I feel you. And he said he doesn't want to walk around like that. So that's why 2025 is his final
He
year.
doesn't want to be angry. He might snap at them. I'm not saying he hits them or anything, but he might
Yeah.
snap at them for all, when you're angry, and it's not a good thing for anybody.
No, absolutely. But that's the thing. The desire to be that way is a different thing. He's already got money. He doesn't need to do this anymore.
He's 30, man.
Yeah.
That is you've been there. What are you, like 62?
Shut up.
No, but you've been there. Like once
Yeah.
you hit 30, you start the maturity starts changing.
Yeah, you start thinking more about your children. You start thinking more about that, and I respected that. It made me a fan of him, to be honest with you, because, he also did say things like, "I don't care about belts. I don't care about that." These
So
are
what?
things.
So
Yeah,
do you believe that? Do you believe? Because here's what people say.
yeah,
You either you really don't care about belts, right? You don't give a fuck about belts.
yeah,
You care about money. You care about getting in and out, preserving. Like he even mentioned, I don't want to keep getting hit on and
absolutely.
hitting. And I get that. I was always worried about that. That's why I would take long breaks when I fought. That's why I never made it big. So I'm like, I'm not sparring every single day for months. Were you crazy?
Yeah,
Um, do you believe that he doesn't care about belts, or do you believe that he is more protecting his O?
that's a great point. I think it's a combination of both. I think he's definitely protecting his O, and as you know, the better the competition, the more you're gonna get hit, the more risk you're gonna take, right? And at the end of the day, I just watched not Larry Holmes, James Toney. They showed a clip of him in 1991 talking, and they showed a clip of him today.
Yeah.
And Marco, if I'm Gervonta Davis, I never want to be in that situation where my kids got to take care of me. I
But
interviewed,
keep in mind,
yeah,
right? And I know James Toney personally. Like I hung out with him in person. I talked to him. I have his number. He sparred every day.
yeah,
He didn't even hit the bag. And I mean, there's footage of him saying this, let alone I think just in general. He sparred 5 minute rounds. He sparred like 20 rounds a day with like 20-second breaks and didn't do anything else every day for I don't know how many years. So that's extreme. So I just want people to understand, like, James Toney is the way he is because he went to an extreme. Now, some fighters are also like Tommy Hearns is pretty slurred. Meldrick Taylor, Terry Norris. Um, but sometimes it happens even when you're not excessively doing that. But generally, that's when you're excessively sparring and fighting. I've always said this. I'm glad Roy Jones just said it because people don't fucking know who I am, but they know Roy. The mileage comes in sparring and training. It does not
he
come in
did say that.
fights.
Yeah,
And it's true. I've always said that. People are like, oh, so and so didn't have any tough fights. I'm like, it's sparring. That's where the mileage is. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And when I was coming up, it was like fucking 3 to 5 times, like almost every day sparring if you had a fight coming up.
yeah, and it's crazy because, you know, I talk to John Iceman Scully all the time, right? And he told me, like, bro, like, Wilfredo Benitez, his family's taking care of him today. They literally are taking care of him.
Oh, there's a bunch.
There's a
Donald
bunch.
Curry, remember
Yeah,
him?
yeah, yeah. It's
I spoke with Gerald McCullen's sister, Lisa, who takes care of him. Sweet, sweet girl, lady, whatever. Um, and Gerald, same thing happened to him. And she started a fund.
yeah,
God, I wish I remembered the fund so I could shout it out to help fighters with damage because there's no union, there's no health care, there's nothing for them. So there's a bunch of them out there who need to be taken care of or who are in assisted living homes. My old trainer, Kevin Rooney, remember him?
yeah, yeah.
He is in an assisted living home. He developed very bad dementia. He's barely 60.
It's
That's
sad.
because of the head trauma.
Yeah, and that's why I like listen. A lot of people are critiquing Tank, and I'm not. I'm like, bro, like you gotta understand when you have the love of your children, you don't want them to have to take care of you. You don't want them to be suffering like that. And I truly respected it. And if you know what, so what? I mean, in my opinion, he doesn't. Let's say he doesn't make the Hall. People don't consider him a Hall of Famer because he didn't fight the elites, right? I'd rather have my health and money and take care of my children. So I totally respect what Gervonta is saying as a man. Do you believe though he'll go through with it and say 2025 is the last year.
Yeah, but I think he'll probably come back because if he retires next year, what is he, 31? He takes 3 years off. He's 34, 35.
Yeah.
That's totally young enough to fight. I believe he might come back. I think he will follow through. I think he might come back though.
I don't think he comes back, man. I'm just being honest. I don't think he loves the sport. I never got that feeling that he loved the sport.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Yeah, I hear you, but he has other things he wants to do. He wants to be a great dad, and bro, I used to be on the road all the time. I could not picture being away from my kids more than a day. I don't even like going to fights because I don't want to be around. I don't want to be away from my children. And I feel like Gervonta is kind of like that in that situation. But, you know, if he does end in 2025, does he take the fights that people want